Tell the truth. Tell the truth.
Information is power. Tell the truth. You are listening to Information Man. Please make sure to subscribe to his channel. Tell the truth.
Tell the truth.
Okay, everybody, peace, 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 peace. This is the Information Man and the Information Man Show. I want to say peace to Chaos Rain, who's come in the house. Vine 11, Back to the Bases is in the house. And we've got Morales, who's come in. Make sure, those of you who have come in so far, share this in your social media. There'll probably be more people that will be coming in. Today, we have a fantastic guest. As some of you know, and I've told you that I've been involved in podcasting for a little bit right now, the Information Man Speaks podcast. I'm on all the basic platforms, the Spotify's, the SoundCloud, the Google Podcast, the Apple Podcast, Stitcher, iHeartRadio Podcast. Let's see, radio.com, as well as, there's another one that I'm on called Castbox. That's right, Castbox. So I'm on a variety of different platforms. And also, you all know that I have a YouTube version to my podcast, which is the same name, Information Man Speaks Podcast. So check that out. Today, I have a brother out of New York, okay, by the name of Lance John. He has a podcasting network, Gift Sounds. I'm going to talk to him about podcasting, why you should get involved in podcasting, ladies and gentlemen. How did he start his company, what he's doing? What is the impact of podcasting for Black people? Because just like YouTube gives us the ability to express ourselves, podcasting gives you the ability to express yourself and get your material, your content to a variety of people around the world, because we are in this global world, okay? And so I'm going to interview this brother. We're going to probably talk about a few social issues that many of you in the chat room are familiar with already. But I'm going to talk to the brother about his network, how he created it, what inspired him. He's a family man. And as many of you know, I'm going to put this on the screen real quick. Many of you know that I'm on a campaign Whenever I go live, I talk about black fathers. There it is. Black fathers do matter. They are important. We are not deadbeat. So without ado, I'm going to bring this brother on, Lance John, right now. He's in back of the studio. I'm going to bring him on and bring him on with a clap. And I want everybody in the chat room to greet the brother and hear what he has to say. You know, on this channel, I'm going to keep bringing you different folks who have different perspectives that are doing different positive things in our communities across the world, across the country. So with that, let me bring the brother in. All right. Brother Lance John, what's up, my brother? Thank you for being here, being willing to join me today, and being open, you know, because I messaged you on Facebook, and you could have easily been like, who is this dude, man? I ain't got time for you, man. I'm big time over here. Get on off of me. But thank you for that, though, brother. How you doing this morning or this afternoon? Because you're in New York, I'm in California, so it's morning.
Yes. I'm good. I'm good overall. I'm feeling good, you know. So yeah, I can't complain.
Well, brother, let's talk about your network, what you're doing in the realm of podcasting, what got you into it, what is it all about?
I guess a little bit of backstory. I've been podcasting now for about 7-8 years. Started out with a small, well, it's not really, I wouldn't consider it small, but I started with a show called Titty Talk.
Oh, I had a chance to check a little bit of that out on your on your YouTube channel, which I did put that in the description of the video. And cool, just cool, small clips, man. I was like, man, I gotta watch the full.
Yes, that channel actually still does exist. We're looking to revive it either end of the year or maybe next year. We're not sure yet. But yeah, that's where I kind of like got the bug, got the start right there. From there, I did like a gaming like news podcast with a buddy of a buddy that hooked me up and whatnot. And like from there, because of those shows, they kind of got wrapped into another networks, like independent networks. And I just kind of looked at how they were doing things and figuring out how to like, well, maybe I can do this as well. Maybe I can do something for the culture, if you will. And given that I'm a tech head and stuff like that, so it's like, yeah, I can probably do this. I think that'll be dope, just kind of like it's like I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I gotta tell you that right now. But through conversations with the missus and stuff like that, we just decided, yeah, let's start and break things, fix them, and keep moving. And pretty much what we decided to do from there is create a network for like Black voices overall, marginal or just like marginalized people and whatnot. And through that, GSN was born, or Gifted Sounds Network and whatnot. And underneath that is also a Gifted Sounds Studio, which is like our production arm, which we try to provide people with great access to like a great spot. Because in New York City, it's really, really hard to get a physical space to have access to, because it's real estate here is insanely expensive. So
yes,
but
I'm in California, so I know that.
exactly. So if you are lucky enough, which I've been lucky enough to like be hooked up with some folks who've taught me a lot to like get into a space and also how to look for new spaces and stuff like that. We've gotten pretty lucky with that. So it's like, we're in the process of like building things out where people can come and they can record on like high-end equipment and stuff like that to get their voices out there. Because I really believe in quality, if anything else.
Yes.
So it's like I'm not too hung up on, I need to put out 10,000 episodes a year. I'm not hung up on that at all. It's like I'm more like, does it sound good? Does it look good and stuff like that? Can we get it as best as possible? So it's like that's like the founding principle behind GSN. And also a big bigger part into that is ownership. I implore people to own their content, own their, like, if you come to me and you wanted to know how to start a podcast, whatever the case may be, I'm a very giving person. So it's like, all right, I'll let you know, these are the pitfalls you might run into. And the podcasting landscape keeps shifting overall. And I'm very upfront with folks. It's like, listen, it's going to cost you to get into podcasting, no matter how you try to slice it. You're going to have to spend some sort of money. I mean, and there are things like Anchor that makes it easier, but I always tell people, go for that quality. Come out the gate, build something. Even if you only get like 10 listens, doesn't matter. At least you put it out there, and then just keep going at it and stuff like that. So it's like, but make sure you own your content. If you have to go speak, if you don't know, go to what's that website? Rocket, I forgot what his name. It's like something lawyer. It's like a website where you can speak to lawyers and stuff like that. It's pretty cheap.
And there's websites that you can trademark your name.
Exactly.
Your content. Very, very, very important. Let me just say this. We have Dallas Country Scratcher. He asked a question, and hopefully you'll get to this. And Brittany Dunn, good to see you, my sister. He's asking a basic question. How does one, and I don't want to throw you off of your mind where you were speaking, brother, but he's asking the basic question. How does one start a podcast?
Just get a mic and start talking. I would say it really depends on what you want out of what do you want out of the podcast? Ask yourself that. I always tell people, like, what do you want out of this? Is it a hobby, or is it something you're trying to turn into something that makes you money and stuff like that, which it is possible to do. So, you need to answer that question. And then the next one is like, how much time do you have to dedicate to this podcast? Pick your frequency, meaning pick when you're going to release, when you're going to record, and that sort of thing. And everything else after that is just campaigning. But to get started, there are, like, you first need the equipment. So if you have a room somewhere that has decent soundproofing and stuff like that, or you could just do the poor man soundproofing, get some heavy curtains, some pillows, whatever you need to do, because remember, it's audio. Nobody's going to see you. So you don't have to worry about how the room looks like. Just worry about how the room sounds like.
Yes.
And save your pennies and get you, there are podcast kits now, which makes it way, way, way easier. So, I would say at least, and this is a conservative estimate, put aside $1,000. And the only reason why I say this is because some people like to bring on their friends, or they have, people they're bringing in interviews and stuff like that. You want to spend money on a good mic. You don't have to go with the mic that I have here. This is a $400 mic. I'll let you know that right now.
Right. That's that mic that you got right there. Right. And I got this Rodecaster mic, which is pretty good, but I'm planning to get that mic right there too as well.
Yeah, it's when it comes to broadcasting and stuff like that, this is like probably one of the top ones out there. There are better ones, but they cost insanely amount of money. Like, this one is actually still affordable, but you want to pace yourself in that way. So think about your finances and stuff like that and what you can do. But there are ways to, like, get it up and running under a budget and stuff like that. I would say, even if you're just starting from like your iPad or your phone, there are mics you can buy that plug right directly into that thing, and you can even do basic edits and stuff like that. And and it's easy to go that way. And then I would say, if you want to start off, you can go with Anchor, which is free, and you can just drop your stuff in there and work your way up. And and I will also say, if you're on any social media stuff, follow people who produce podcasts, follow people who are like editors and stuff like that in that vein, because it would give you tips and tricks about how to just get, make your podcast sound a certain way, do a certain way and stuff like that, because it really depends on the type of quality you're trying to put out there and stuff like that.
Right.
So,
now, Brother Lance, am I right or wrong? This is important for people in the chat room, that if you have a computer, just a laptop, a desktop, some type of device, or even your iPhone, Droid phone, And you're saying use Anchor, which I'm on Anchor as well. And Anchor is free, and you can make money using Anchor. You can, even if you don't have a lot of, if I'm not mistaken, their policy is that even if you don't have a lot of people watching you yet, they help you to be able to monetize. Is that correct or wrong?
Well, I think from what I understand, I actually had a conversation with Anchor recently.
Oh, okay. Well, then let me hear, because this is the reason why I actually my home base for my podcast is Spreaker.
Okay, yeah.
And then what happened is I created an account with Anchor. I just hadn't activated it, but I can still I still move my files or my audio over there. I just haven't activated it as my main estate. But go ahead, brother.
Right. Yeah, that's the one of the steps that I kind of skipped over by starting your podcast. You need to get a hosting. That could be either Spreaker, that could be Podbean, it could be GSN, because we host through a network type of thing called Transistor. So that's one of the steps. But the conversation that I had with Anchor was more about it was more about, they were kind of like recruiting. They weren't really sure what we were, because one of their recruiters reached out to us and whatnot, and they don't have like network level submissions yet, which is something I spoke to them about. But I remember they saying I think you need about 10,000 downloads or streams, I think, and then they will start doing what is kind of like what YouTube does, where you need to hit a threshold and then they will start cutting you checks and stuff like that. Which is where marketing comes into place. That's the biggest issue. I would say that's the biggest issue I've run into. Getting it done, getting it recorded, getting it pushed out and everything. I've done all that, but then it's trying to get people to know about your podcast. So I would say, if you can, do guerrilla marketing. Make little silly stickers and stuff like that. Put a little QR code on it. Let people scan it, whatever, and they will like just attach themselves. Like, people will find you in that way. Put it wherever you can. Put the links somewhere.
What you suggest, for example, I use for my, and that's one of the things that I'm finding is the biggest a challenge for me, is because I've put so much energy into YouTube that the marketing of the podcast, and like you said, aggressively marketing. But what I use is something you've heard of it. I use headliners. Yes. Where I can create those little audio bites of my podcast and give you some visual with it, and I can throw that on different type of social medias just to give people a little taste. And those actually have helped me.
Yeah, no,
draw people in.
Yeah, as audio based podcast is, you got to find a way to make your marketing visible. So what we do, because my skill is based in video editing and stuff like that. What I've done is created templates for the different shows, where every time an episode comes out, we put out a snippet of it, 3 minutes, 1 minute, whatever. And we create what is considered an audio reaction, what the other people know it as like sound bites or audiogram and stuff like that. And we custom make those to tailor to any social media website. So it's like, if it can play video, trust there's a GSN account on there, and we try to, push those out, and people respond to that. People respond to the visuals. It's bright, it moves a little fast, whatever. It just it makes it dynamic and stuff, because you want to like attract people. So I would say definitely learn about marketing from there, and then try to position yourself, no matter the numbers that you have. Try to position yourself with websites. There are like websites out there that do, kind of like mid-roll, where they kind of sell your show against sponsors. Wow. So it's like, I would just say, like, look them up. There's a bunch out there, but and you want to push. What they do is like, okay, this person has 500 subscribers, but they're loyal, so somebody might be willing to do a mini sponsorship with you, like for $200, mention my product or whatever the case may be. Not like a review or anything like that. Or it could be an ongoing thing overall. So it's like, you got to kind of get into that sponsorship game and stuff like that. Or depending on where you live and stuff like that, talk to your local community business owners and stuff like that. Maybe they'll be willing to have you run an ad, and they'll pay you for X because you have this type of audience and stuff. Because you got to learn to pitch yourself, learn to sell yourself in that sense, because once you figure out your schedule, once you figure out who you're recording with, when you're recording and when you're releasing and everything, and how you pushing everything out, once you're happy with that whole process, it's the next step is just like, well, I want to make money. Position yourself in a way where you can make money when it comes to that sort of thing. So get involved. Also, one thing that I've seen that worked over time, try to be a guest on bigger podcasts, because sometimes the followers there will just kind of like, they trust that person already. So people will come over, they'll listen, you see your numbers go up and stuff like that. It doesn't always work, but I've seen it work more than not. And this all helps build, because you're trying to build an audience. You're trying to do that stuff. And if you're just doing it just to have fun and stuff like that, that's completely fine as well.
Right.
Just let your audience know that's what it is. Listen, this is just a hobby. I'm having fun, and yada yada. If you make money, you do. If you don't, it's fine as well. So just like know why you're going into it.
Let me ask you this question. That's powerful what you were saying. One of the areas that I think, particularly when it comes to Black people, that we fall short when we get into these spaces such as podcasting or being a YouTuber, is that sometimes sometimes, not all of us, but some of us fail to go to conventions like Podfest type of conventions, or go there with other content creators that are not necessarily are Black like us, but it's just all different race of people that are going to these. Because when you go to those kind of events, you're going to get more connections. You're going to learn how to do your podcast. You're going to learn more information that you did not know, because you're rubbing shoulders with people who are maybe at the top of the game in podcasting, or even YouTubing, for that example, right? So you want to network, and through networking, that could also draw you an audience as well, because you're connecting with other people. And like you said, from that connection, you might get a chance to be on their show, interviewed, what have you. Can you speak upon that? Why does it appear to me personally, maybe to others too, maybe yourself, that's an area that Black people, we don't get out of our little villages and venture into these conventions and these programs that they put on about these social media?
It's once again one of those things. It's about who you know. Like depending on your circle. And I mean, then again, it's like, you can also break out of your circle if you have the desire to do so.
Okay.
I could tell you off bat, like people on my network several of them have gone on to do other things because of the podcast that they started. So they knew already how to network and stuff like that. Like one gentleman, he's a military, I think he was a officer actually. He came to me, he did a show. Within like a year or so, another organization hired him to be the host of their podcast and whatnot, because of what he was doing through our network and stuff like that. So it's like, it's definitely important to have that desire, and don't be afraid to do it. Because I could tell you right now, it's like it took me a while, like, to build my skill and then out there. Because right now I do have a day job where I do work for a company where they have a podcast, and talking to those people and seeing who they speak to, because they speak to very large, big companies every week. Not gonna name anything right now, but I mean, I could, but it's not really a big deal. It's not a secret or anything. But what it shows me, because I'll be honest, seeing that stuff, it's really about accessing who you know, for sure. That's true. But in podcast land, it doesn't mean you can't go and get in as well. These conventions do exist and stuff like that. You just have to reach out. Look at, like, even better yet, look at LinkedIn. Look at the jobs for podcasting. There's so many out there. Look there, see what people are doing, what they're trying to hire for and stuff like that. And hell, apply for some. and it would help you get into those spaces that you normally probably see advertised and stuff like that. That's like one way of getting in there. And some of them, they have, unfortunately, you pay hundreds of dollars to go to some of these conventions and stuff like that. But it's still good because you still get to talk to these people, because they're regular people. They're regular people, and a lot of them are willing to chat with you and stuff like that. You just have to ask. You just have to reach out, talk to folks. Because right now, like on Facebook, I'm in a group, a editors group, where we talk about just editing. We don't really push our shows or anything. But these people work for companies like Stitcher, like these editors. They edit big shows and stuff like that. So it's like, you got to find your way in somewhere, because there's a lot of production behind podcasts. And now that video has been kind of like added because of I would say Joe Rogan. He's like the king of podcasts. It's a way. It's like, I would say look at what those people are doing. You can emulate, or you can do a lot better as well. Like, or you can just think about, how can I twist this to my advantage in a certain way? But the networking part, it's like I said, a lot of it have to be with who you know. But always ask. Just like, and like I said, you need to have the desire. If you don't have that desire, you're not gonna get out of that bubble. You're not gonna get out of your own echo chamber. You need to put yourself out there, be as accessible as possible, for sure.
Okay, let me ask. I got two questions for you, but let me ask you this question, because I struggle with this myself. I see people who do YouTube. Well, they have a podcast, and then they have a YouTube version of their podcast, or they simply just take their audio from the traditional podcasting platforms and they'll put it over to YouTube. Then I hear some people say, maybe what you should do is separate the two, meaning maybe my material on my podcast should be completely different from the material on the YouTube. Maybe I should not split it up that way. But some people say, well, you should do that. What is your thought about that? If you got one niche going like I've got with my YouTube channel, and I do have a second channel to my podcast, should I just make that completely because what I've been doing on my YouTube channel version is that there's some things that are different on that channel that's on the traditional platforms. So I mix and match it a little bit. So it gives people different perspectives when they go to the YouTube version versus the traditional platforms. What is your thoughts about that?
Primarily, that's a work ethic situation. Because it does take work. It's like, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, it's easier to just film something, and then put the video version and then take the audio and drop it wherever. It's a lot. And I would say that really depends on your time. Like, do you have that type of time or do you have that type of creativity energy where it's like, okay, I can do two very separate things? Because if you don't have a team to help you with this sort of thing, and I usually implore people to get a team, because it's gonna get really rough for you, because you can get burned out. That's you gotta be very careful with that. I've experienced that, and it's like, I'm not trying to do that again. But I don't think it really matters one way or the other, because you don't really know if one is going to hit over the other, because you might start out and you might get a lot of hits with the audio versus your video. And I've seen that happen too. And it really depends on like, okay, how much energy do I want to put into this? And then you can switch to one or the other. And it just really, like I said before, it depends on what are you trying to get out of it. If it's the numbers for you, look into that. Watch your numbers for, say, 90 days, compare them, and see it's like, maybe this is worth it here and there and stuff like that.
Well, let me say something. I got a few people I want to say shout out to. We got Divine Wisdom in the house. Rashid D, peace, brother. Thank you for coming over. I normally don't go on this early, so people are still waking up. But there'll be a lot more people watching this after the fact. I want to just say peace to everybody in the chat room. We've got Ricardo Rodney, who's just super chatted me. So let me give you a
Thank you for the super chat.
I appreciate the super chat very much. We got 178, God, Allah, peace for being here. Everyone that's come in, back to the basics, Sister Dunn, Dallas Country, Scratcher, who's taking notes because he wants to get deeper into podcasting himself. And but let me ask you this question now. I heard you say the most powerful thing: you need a network, or you need people to work with you. And I'm finding I'm a one-man deal here. I'm doing everything. I'm producing. I'm coming up with topics. I'm creating I'm doing everything. And it hasn't burnt me out yet because I actually enjoy it. It's like it's like my thing. You know what I mean? Outside of my personal life, this is my thing. Outside of work, my personal life, it gives me joy. I take a lot of joy in actually doing everything, like I'm Prince on keyboards and on guitar and on. But you're absolutely right. You can't be an island to yourself forever. So that leads me to this question. You created a network. Why did you create that network? And is that one of the reasons why you created it? And what is the benefit to someone like myself? I'm tooting my own horn here, joining a network such as like your network. Go ahead, brother.
Yeah. For the creation part of it is, like I said, I wanted to amplify Black voices. I wanted to amplify people who are considered in the margins and, that sort of thing. But I wanted to do it in a way where it was professionally done. And I wanted to give people a path into podcasting that they didn't normally knew existed, my network is full of people, Black and brown people, who are, they want to support that sort of effort overall. So it's like, that's one of the main reasons why I did it. And plus, like you, I love what I do. I love production. I love creating stories. I love to have something out there. And, I wanted to show Black and brown folks, I wanted to show, our people, the culture that, man, you could sound just as good as your favorite YouTuber. You can look just as good as your favorite beauty blogger. You know what I'm saying? You can do all that if, you come to us and, we can get it through there. Or if you just want to learn, we do that too. We'll help, we'll consult, we'll teach you how to do certain things and whatnot. And that's what the network primarily is about. It's just like putting it out there and amplifying you and push you out. One of the benefits is that, it's like the GSN name is attached to your show. So it's like, we already have like a audience and stuff like that. I mean, during COVID and stuff, it's depleted a lot because, it's COVID. Plus we made a lot of changes with where we count our stats and everything like that, but the audience is still there. Outside of that is, depending on the deal that we have, because we have varying different, like we have some, what we call tier packages, where there's like a free version for us to helping you, and then there's paid stuff is like client based. It really depends on what you're trying to do and what you need to do. And coming on to GSN, there are certain benefits. Like one, you don't pay for hosting, right?
Wow.
It's like, here's an unlimited hosting site for you, and you log in yourself and you manage your show yourself. We'll teach you everything from there. We help you with resources when it comes to, like, say, equipment and whatnot, like stuff we can lend out to you to, like, make sure we get you going and whatnot. Well, we hold you accountable to your show as well. So we kind of have this like family style sort of dynamic where it's like, hey man, what's going on? How are you feeling this month? Whatever the case may be. How are your numbers? That sort of thing. Trying to encourage you in that way. And then on top of that, depending on how your show is doing and everything like that, we put it in our like main advertising that's outside of social media, where we try to buy billboards and stuff like that to try to amplify your show and push it up and everything like that. Because
let me ask you this question, because that's one of the things we as Black people in general, need to improve upon, and that is we got to stop BSing around. and we got to stop BSing around with each other.
Yes.
So for example, if I was a part of your network and you say, okay, we expect these many episodes to be completed at this due date because we got money invested in you, man. We're putting up this, we're promoting you over here. What's up with all of this laggy daggy?
Yeah.
And so have you had in your experience in going in this endeavor where you've had to cut your ties with someone that was a part of your network, or you had to discipline them, so to speak, because they were just BSing around, or they just weren't taking it as serious as they might have come off when you first got involved with them?
Yeah, we've had several folks like that. Because I would say there's some sort of study or statistic out there that a lot of people starting a podcast, a lot of them fail at episode 7, meaning they don't even go past that. They just stop for whatever reason. But yes, we've had to cut ties with a few folks in the past for various different reasons. Some of them left on their own accord because they wanted to do something else entirely. Some we had to just cut ties because of certain strife that was happening. Because one of our clause because we do give everybody a contract to make sure, like, hey, this is here to protect you, because it says explicitly this is yours, right? We facilitate production arm of this. But there's a part in our contract where it's like we don't like no hate speech, no lying, that sort of thing. We don't want that to push out there, because we don't want just don't add to the noise in that way, because that doesn't mean you have to be positive all the time. Of course you can be controversial, of course you can talk about whatever it is, but just like don't just blatantly lie about things. But thankfully we've never ran into anybody like that, and we haven't like had to get rid of somebody because of that. But it's been for like more of a different type of reasons, where it's like they just stopped, and communication wasn't there. Like we couldn't communicate, because we're sending emails, we're sending Slack messages, however they choose to communicate with us, and they just MIA. So at that point, what am I supposed, like, how am I supposed to
do?
Yeah, because it's like I would say one person I can mention. I mean, technically they weren't really on our network, but they're kind of like using our network to like push their show out and everything, because they were trying to do a proof of concept, which is a basketball star actually. And something happened, like I think they moved or something, and then we don't 6 months went by, no communication. So we were like, well, what's going on? And like, oh wait, oh yeah, we're not doing it anymore. It's like, well, you could have told me that 6 months ago, because we have to deal with server space, like that's a back end of networking too, that it's stuff I have to deal with. It's like I have a server, right? Server space is I don't have server space like Google.
Yes, yeah.
So I mean it's big, but I need to know, because I need to maintain all this stuff. I got to maintain the website, got to maintain the network, I got to maintain the amount of shows on there and stuff like that. So if any of those things are breached to the point where we cannot come to some sort of repass for the next one or whatever of the next season or whatever, then we there's certain things that we kick into gear. Like, we would probably mark the show as archived, but that's really just surface level. It just means that the person or whoever, the team, they're just not working on it right now, and they might come back, who knows, next year. And it's definitely, I would say it's more apparent now because of the pandemic. A lot of people, they just don't have the time. It's their family or whatever the case may be. So we try to be very considerate of that as well. And that's why we push out there about the importance of communication with us. Because if you're not telling us what we need to do to help you, I cannot help you. And therefore it's gonna just fall apart altogether.
Right. Let me say peace to George Frazier, who's come in, and somebody I want to introduce you to. This is AC. She is a part of Seriously, Not Another podcast with Brother Ben that I was telling you about.
Mm-hmm.
And she is about to branch off into doing her own projects.
Awesome.
And AC, this is Brother Lance John. He has a network, podcasting network. And what's the other? You have the
studio,
the Gifted Sounds.
Yeah, Gifted Sound Studio. That's
Gifted
like just
Sound Studios.
That's the production arm where we can help with production. You don't necessarily have to be on GSN. We can help you with doing things outside of that for sure.
All right. And let me introduce somebody else who super chatted me. I think the brother's in Africa. You all know him. Legendary O'Shea Duke Jackson on YouTube. What's up, brother? I'm up here. This is not my normal time, man. Folks in the West Coast that watch me are still waking up, but we're going to get good views on this after the fact, though. But O'Shea, I'll send you a message, brother, because I got to finally get my interview with you. But I appreciate the super chat. Let me give you some love.
Thank you for the super chat.
And I appreciate you coming through, brother. I know you're busy. This is a brother, Brother Lance. He has a YouTube channel that's very successful. Been a part of the Black Manosphere for a long time. And he's in Africa right now doing various video projects. He's interviewing people out there, showing you some of the lovely and beautiful areas of the continent, and he's interviewing people that live out there. And he's also connected to brother. You might have known this brother by the name of Phil of the Avice Show, very well known on YouTube, and he's over there doing fantastic projects in Africa, and producing these projects and creating a network, sort of how you've got a network, and then bringing that content for us to be able to enjoy that content here. And then there's another brother that I rock with called Prophet of Thought Series. And he has great debates on his show where a lot of brothers come on board and we debate a lot of different issues within the fire of the ring, as he calls it. So everybody, this is brother, once again, this is Brother Lance John. We're talking podcasting, why black people should get into podcasting, what podcasting can bring you. He's got a network. Remind everybody, you've got the podcast network, and then the other one is the Gifted Sounds?
Yeah, Gifted Sound Studios. Yeah, that's a production arm, and Gifted Sounds Network is the podcast network. Yeah.
Now, I don't want to ask a silly question, but give us a little bit more details as to what's going on with your Gifted Sounds.
Right now, the biggest thing is we're settling into a studio at the moment. That's a physical location where we're setting up things. There's an audio room, video room. There's like a common area that we do stuff. We recently started back up the live streaming of one of our shows, which is called Let's Be Real Sports. They're primarily on Facebook, but they're also a audio portion of their show. I mean, that's one of the things where we live stream it and then we do a little bit of edit for the audio and then throw it out for both, But if you're into sports, that's one way to go about it. Other show, right now, majority of the shows on the network have kind of went on a hiatus because of COVID. Some of them have branched off to do their own thing. So it's they're not necessarily on our network, but we still represent them in that space because they started out with us.
Yes.
So we still show love in that way until they and it's fine if they want to do their own thing. We don't begrudge anybody of that. Right now, as for future stuff that we're thinking about getting into there, we want to create a narrative series where I know several people who are voiceover artists, and they've been we want to create something with people to create a drama or a fictional story or whatever the case may be for audio and whatnot. There are some ideas that I have to relate it. I know a lot of people who are comic book creators, so it's there might be some stuff around that going forward when it comes to the audio stuff.
Okay, now when I was watching your channel, and once again, everybody, he has these clips on this YouTube channel, which is basically a way to kind of promote some of the various different personalities on his network. and you had something called like Pod Nerds or something like that.
Oh, Ponder Nerds, yeah.
Ponder Nerds, yeah.
That's one of my oldest podcasts. Actually.
Okay, and you had and I like the way you did the special effects with your images on the screen, kind of glowing, kind of like animated images of you and a young lady, and just in some of the things that I looked at, I liked it, man. I was like, this is pretty cool. You know what I mean?
Thank you.
Because see, this is the thing. A lot of people forget how diverse Black people are. We're into everything.
Yes.
Okay. We're into how can I say it? We're into comic books, science. There's even you got Black folks that's into punk music. I think they got something called Afro punk. That's pretty big out there, right?
Yeah.
So we got Black people that are doing all sorts of things. We're not just one. We are more diverse than we give ourselves credit. So can you touch on some of that? Because that's the impression that I get, brother, that you've got a diverse situation going on with what you do.
Yeah. So that's one of the other tenets of GSN. It's the people that I know growing up, very academic, very much nerd, very much geek in that sense, where these are people who, you know, went to school for various things, film production, costume design, or, you know, just really smart about a specific topic. Like one of our shows that is now on that's been archived. It's called Wandering Blurs. This is a young lady. She trained as a journalist, and you know, but she loves history. So, but she talks about Black history from all over the world, about, you know, places that you may not even knew Black people were, you know, and so it's like it's in that vein to be as diverse within our own culture, to show that, you know, like for me specifically, like I have several shows that are on the network, which is one of my oldest one is Ponder Nerds, which is just me and a few friends that talk about a lot of geeky stuff, maybe some medical science stuff, you know, where it's just a conversation. It's a conversational podcast where things that we love and into, and to kind of spread that out there. And because of that, other people are, you know, have come our way because they see that, oh, okay, you guys talk about these things, you represent these things. So it's like, you know, it helps in that way. And, you know, we encourage that too as well. Because it's like right now, as the way podcast is, it's kind of like the Wild Wild West of the land right now.
Right.
But you know, there's still some rules, and I mean, there's not a whole lot of rules governing podcasts right now, but there's still like certain things that it depends on who you speak to and whatnot. But yeah, that part is very, very important to us. Like we had a podcast called Music Bay. That was actually headed up by my missus. But she's deep into music, but then she has all these, like, you know, very interesting people come on and talk about the type of music that Black people just make from all over the planet, man. It's like, you know, so it's like, it's things we enjoy, you want to talk about and just kind of immortalize in some way, you know. So I would say, like, you know, and that's like that's something we aim to do. That's something we aim to represent overall.
Okay, let me ask you this question, because I don't want to take up all your time today, because I really appreciate the time that you've given me. But this is very important. I know on the YouTube platforms, YouTube has come up with rules. Some would say it's censorship, that you can't say certain buzzwords, you can't say certain this and that. And I know, because I did a lot of material on COVID-19, I know that there was this big issue on the traditional platforms. I think either it was Apple or Google. Somebody got in trouble over this whole issue around COVID-19, that they were sort of censoring people that were talking about it. Maybe they were talking about it in a conspiratorial manner. But one of the things I'm concerned about is, because the thing about podcasting is that it's an open frontier that lets you speak freely.
Right.
And my concern is it's already very corporate, because you've got a lot of sponsors, a lot of money's involved in it. But anytime, just like in YouTube, anytime money comes into the reality. The fact becomes the factor.
Mm-hmm.
Then they begin to demonetize channels on YouTube, and they can do the same thing with podcasters. Demonetize you, make it where you don't get to a certain amount of audience because they deem your material is not conforming to what they want to make you more to make you conform.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Conform. I'm sorry. I'm having a tongue twist here. What is do you have any concern about that they may try to put a lock on people's voices on the podcasting platforms?
In some ways, it's already happened. Very many years ago on Apple, iTunes, they're the originator of this whole thing. There was a show, unfortunately, run by some men, but it was a bunch of pedophiles actually. And obviously, it was shut down subsequently after that. So, I mean, that's like the most extreme example I can give. Overall, I would say like right now, well, let me back up a bit. I think, so where's YouTube is concerned, it's like one of the biggest places you could put your stuff on, and it is a private company and stuff like that. So there's like certain things that they have to govern themselves, and obviously because of the shareholders and stuff, and it did get spanked by the government, by the FCC and stuff like that. So they kind of have to adhere by the law of the land, and it depends on what really is happening. So these are things we have to consider right now. Podcasting, there is really no number one. When it comes to podcast and distribution or whatnot. I mean, a lot of people consider Apple Podcasts to be that because they're the ones that originated the whole thing. And now Spotify is making a play for that crown by bringing on people like Joe Rogan. Right now, they're apparently, I don't know how true this is, but apparently some of the employees there, they want to censor Joe Rogan in a certain way. Because, I mean, if you ever listen to Joe Rogan, he kind of leans right, like conservative right, depending on what he's talking about.
Well, you do know that Joe Rogan, see, this is where my show, what I do over here, I get controversial. Joe Rogan is really, he's on that off-right type stuff.
Right, exactly. So it's like, now when you come with a
truth.
Yeah, I like that. So there's like, the thing is, because there's no overall umbrella of podcasting, each company is going to make a decision based on, like you said, like their money. It depends, like, if, for instance, Patreon, right? Back in the day when they started, anybody can have a Patreon. And there were a lot of sex workers on there, and they were making good money. This is before there was OnlyFans and stuff like that. But in the last 4 or 5 years or so, Patreon is actually looking to be sold. But in order to be sold, you need to appear, appetizing to people who may want to buy this company, and they can't have a bunch of people running around naked. It's like on their platform. So therefore, they started coming up with rules to like curb that. Tumblr did the same thing and stuff like that. I think that when a platform gets big enough where people, use it as it's like a homegrown name, something people use, even your grandma don't know what it is. Yes. That's when you're probably going to see certain restrictions come in based on what to say and stuff like that. Like even on my network, the only restriction we have is just no misinformation. That's it. But anything else pretty much goes, and of course, nothing that will harm people and stuff like that. And some people will look at that as censorship and stuff like that. But in my opinion, I believe there are certain governing things that are, I think good, and there are others that are harmful in a certain way. Yeah.
Go ahead. Let me say shout out to AC again, Ronnie, George Frazier. Back to the basics. Let me see. The kids is in the house. Marcella and the kids. Let me see. Somebody else came in who underrated darkness. Peace to you, brother, for coming in, showing a little bit of love this morning. And AC, she's a podcaster. I want to read what she said. She said only the CDC is allowed to give out false information, not podcasters. Interesting. Still here listening. Awesome. Thank you for coming over. Fantastic. You got a beautiful family. I can see you. I put you on the screen, and a fantastic family there. I'm glad you all came over. There's somebody else that I wanted to say what's up to. I'm trying to focus on what you're saying, brother, and I got people in the chat. Oh, Marcus Love came in. Hey, Marcus Love, peace to you, brother, for coming on over. And make sure everybody, if you can, share this in your social media. If you can, I appreciate that. There was somebody else in the chat I wanted to say what's up to, and I can't find them. We got a Team Healthy US LLC. Thank you for being here. Of course, we got Dallas Country Scratch. I hope you took down notes. Oh, we got that's who I was looking for. Palmer, Sister Beverly Palmer. Thank you. She says she's still listening. I'm glad that you're here. Now, let me ask you a controversial question, or it's not so controversial. This is what I'm noticing in the podcasting. Some would say that it's rigged, that there's certain people that are being promoted. You've got news. This is what's crazy. You got news agencies like CNN and all the big news agencies that are coming out with their own wing of podcasting.
Yeah.
So what it does is it gives them an advantage over everybody because, well, shit, you already got a major network news corporation.
Right,
so your stuff's going to be pushed. So why do you need a podcast? Shit, you're coming on 24 hours a day, speaking your mind. Now you want to gobble up the podcasting space with putting more, with taking your personalities and giving them an individual podcast, sucking up more of the space. And this is what bothers me, brother. There are people out here who are podcasting, who are hitting on some real shit. Excuse my French. And their podcast may never see the light of day. Or the average person who's at home, who's working like myself, who's who may have good content, and you take someone who's part of a conglomerate. And I don't want to sound like spilled milk or I'm crying or anything, but I just see some of and then when they do these ratings, like who's got the top podcast, and it's almost like, they're buying that shit. They're buying their way to the top. They're promoting. It's almost like music was back in the 50s where they would pay the disc jockeys and give them money under the table so that they would promote this and suppress everybody else. Do you think podcasting, and I know I've said a lot, brother, do you think it's on and I know that life is not fair, but do you think it's operating on a fair and balanced scale? Because the people who got the money, their voices and they're being promoted above everybody, and they may not even have good shit.
Yeah, mediocre talent coming to the top. Yeah. I don't think, it's not well balanced. When podcasting started out, it was kind of like, I don't know if you know anything about ham radio clubs. Those guys, there's just a bunch of truckers around the country.
I heard about that.
Right. And a lot of people got into that, of varying ages too. It's the same thing with podcasting, how it started. The barrier to entry to podcasting was really high because you needed to know how to work RSS feeds, all this other stuff. I would say in the last 10 years or so, it's become, it's a bit of I call it a bit of a cheat, especially like say a well-known personality decided, I'm going to do a podcast because he or she is bringing their audience with them. So they're already kind of cheating. They're not grinding from the bottom like the rest of us, and they already have that notoriety. They already have that mega network to like tap into where it's like, what's her name used to have a podcast? Aisha Taylor, the actress.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't know how well it did, but she stopped doing it. But again, I will mention like Joe Rogan. He was known. He was on television. He's a personality. He comes on. He did this thing. I mean, when he first started out, his podcast was terrible. I mean, I think it's still terrible now. But it wasn't anything spectacular, but just because a lot of people followed him, he went that way and he leveraged that,
Well,
so
didn't he have, not to cut you off, but staying on subject, of course, didn't Joe Rogan come out of radio? Or didn't he have some kind of radio program at one point in time?
Yes. But he started the from, if I remember correctly, he started the podcast after he was on that show, Fear Factor. The one on NBC and stuff like that. And then he was like, he did a lot of commentating for like UFC and stuff like that. Like that's where his kind of starts. And then he got another show on MTV called The Man Show or something like that.
Okay.
And from there, he kind of created this audience. And at some point, it transferred him into this mega monster that he has as a podcast now.
But what's crazy about it, though, brother, is that he already had a built-in audience from being on television. Right, maybe doing some and flirting around with radio.
Yeah,
and so they knew because he had that audience that he would be a money maker, and so the networks or the corporations, they push him ahead. So if you go on any podcasting apps or any type of platforms where you can find podcasters, his is always pushed to the top. Yeah. Even if you don't even want to like what he's doing, it's being pushed to you. That's what I'm saying. They're pushing certain people to you, which I don't particularly like. And then they do these videos. I saw a video where they were making such a big deal over how Joe Rogan sets up his podcast. What type of headphones he uses? Hell, I got headphones too, goddammit. I'm not using them today, but they're talking about, oh, he's using these kind of headphones. Oh, he's using this. It's like, okay, that's fantastic, but he ain't the best thing out there.
He's not. No, there are people out there who are much more creative, just a joy to listen to, and and it's sad that it's only that, because when you look at the top podcasts, it's like, and they have it in different genres. Like in tech, it's this guy. It's in this, it's this woman, and unfortunately, most of them happen to be white, and I would say that. And it's like, even with like I think that one of the biggest podcast entities out there right now is called Pod Movement or Podcast Movement and stuff like that, which they're cool, but they one thing that bothered me about them is they had like a panel or something to do with diversity or whatever, but most of the people on there were white, like what they showed, and I was just like, what's going on here? And then the whole podcast awards and stuff like that. Something I recently worked on, the Black Podcast Award. It's like we have to carve our own way out of it, into it. It's like, it's not like we're begging for our own importance or anything like that. It's like, it's the intrinsic value of what these companies and these places are trying to put on there. Yes, Dallas, you're right. He started as a comic. Yeah. It's like this. He's talking about Joe Rogan, by the way. Sorry. Right. But it's like it's like, is this value that you're trying to place where, because the way these networks are looking at it is like, this is just another medium to make money, and they're going to put their advertising dollars where it needs to go. And this is why I said earlier that that's probably one of the biggest issues with independent podcasting. It's like getting into like coming out of the noise and like advertising yourself properly and stuff like that. And it can be daunting. It can be frustrating. It could be financially insane sometimes. Right. And it's about luck sometimes. But I think, given that wherever you go on almost any podcast directory out there, any podcast app that's new, whatever, they scrape all this information and they put these people at the top thinking that, oh, well, if I put this face, then I'll get more audience into more users to use my app and stuff like that. Yes, and they're not really showing any true diversity in the podcast game. They're not really representing folks in a certain way, because sometimes, most of the time, from what I've seen, you have to pay to get put on the new and noteworthy, or get like me for some reason. I get bombarded with a bunch of people from India that always claim that they can get my, promote my podcast, but it's just kind of like there, and I do agree with you that it does. Yeah. It does, the way it's being presented, it does look like, they're like pushing a certain type.
Yeah, I get those same promotions on my social media, and I don't trust doing anything outside the country with someone that I don't know they're in another country.
Yeah, don't do it.
I don't want to deal with that. But let me say peace to Sister Buckner, who just gave me a super chat. I appreciate that.
Thank you for the super chat.
And then I believe Ronnie might have given me another super chat. Let me hit that.
Thank you for the super chat.
And let me say peace to my man Tone Malone. Number 1 is in the house. Peace to you. Good to see you here. And brother Marcus Love. Marcus Love said something that I wanted to put on the screen for you to see that I thought made a hell of a lot of sense. Let me see if I could find that statement, or I'll just kind of quote him. Oh, here it is, if I'm not mistaken. Information man, mainstream media is desperate now because they're being edged out from us podcasters. Now, I think what he's saying it makes a lot of sense because I've looked at the numbers. When it comes to YouTube content, and there are podcasters on YouTube, about 70% of young people are getting most of their information off of these type of platforms. Between the YouTube, the podcast, a lot of people of this generation, younger generation, are not consuming their content from mainstream media. This is the medium of the future. It is the medium of now. Could one make the argument, Brother Lance, that young people looking for the progressive information that they want to listen to could eventually fade people out of relevancy if they haven't already done so with people like the Joe Rogans of the world, the people that they're pushing, the corporations are pushing as the people that we should be listening to. And young people may say, nah, I want to listen to what's going on with Brother Lance and his network. Nah, I want to listen to an Info Man or Marcus Love or O'Shea Duke Jackson or any of the brothers and sisters that we have on all these different platforms. Nah, they not giving the real deal, because one of the powers that we have in the YouTube platform that I've been blessed with is that we're able to talk about stories like the Breonna Taylor situation and bring up information that the mainstream media is not going to tell you.
I can definitely see that happen, and I think it's happening now, where it's the different type of medium of where people will go to get their information is definitely, right now it's like it's bigger, it's louder in social media land, I would say. Where people are just getting their information and put stuff out, like that's how they're reading stuff and whatever. But they got to be very, because it's so easy, it's just a click and you see it and whatnot. I can see podcasting also filling that need as well, because it's longer form and it can be a little bit more deeper, more intimate in the information that's being put out there. Okay. And it's funny. I play this video game regularly called The Division 2. It's about post-apocalyptic and yada yada, sleep, and yes. Every time you go into these safe houses, there's a radio on. It's a podcast in the middle. It's the middle of the apocalypse where they talk about the different things that are happening in the world and stuff like that, like in that particular world. So it's like, yeah. So it's like you see, which like it's in the future. So it's like, oh, okay, this is interesting. But it's like, I think it's a medium that's going to stand the test of time. Right. And I think it, as the tech gets easier for people to just get in, and just start talking and putting stuff out there, making it easier and stuff like that. Because now I see a lot of companies are actually putting their money behind getting you the tools you need to get your voice out there. Like you have the Roadcaster, and that's one thing. Another Zoom is about to come out with their own, not Zoom the conferencing thing, but the Zoom like audio company.
Yeah,
like,
I've heard about that they're going to come out with a particularly all-in-one system. Right?
Exactly. Yeah, which is very impressive. And I think that if it gets easier, it gets more affordable. Then I can see it becoming more of a thing for sure, for people to just kind of like switch very easily. Because you get an iPhone today, you can't remove the podcast app. It's right there.
Right.
It's a staple. You know, you get an Android phone, it's right there. It's like it's easy.
Right.
You know?
You know what? That was the point that I was trying to make. I lost my I had lost my track of thought, or my train of thought, when I was mentioning that, hey, if you got an iPhone, you got a laptop, what I wanted to say is you got a podcast. You can literally create a podcast from your iPhone, your Android, your laptop, because the computer or the phone has everything it needs in it for you to do a podcast. All you need to do is download some type of software, some type of host to produce the content. And then over time, you improve upon what you're doing. Now, brother, we talked earlier, and I know you've got to get to the studio soon to work on projects. And I am going to have you come back from time to time to delve more into these areas of podcasting. Sure. But let me ask you, being respectful to your time, the last question of the day that I have for you, or a question, because I don't want to say the last question, because it's not like it's like, oh, I'm not going to be alive anymore. No, not the last question, but but the question is, where do you believe podcasting is going to go into the future as it relates to Black audiences and Black podcasters? Where do you think it's going to go? And you can give your prediction way when me and you are both no longer here.
I think it's probably going to go, you know, in my opinion, I see video playing a big part in that. Given that now we don't buy phones, we're just buying cameras.
Right.
Because everybody's like, well, what do the pictures look like? I think we'll probably see more of a visual representation in that sense. And right now there's a whole thing around, well, how long should a podcast be? Man, it doesn't matter. As long as you're putting something out there that people you feel you can give the information or the joy or the entertainment in that. If you feel like you can do it in 5 minutes, do a 5-minute podcast. It doesn't matter. But I that's why I kind of see it going more coming from the devices that we have in our pockets. I can see like the future of it kind of, you know.
Now, I have to AC, who I was telling you that she's been involved in the podcasting game for some time. She says that the podcasting game is oversaturated. Anybody can start one. What would you say to that?
I don't really subscribe to that. I mean, yes, technically, yes. There's a lot of people, whatnot. But when you look at the numbers of who's actually still doing podcasts, it's lower than people think. Yeah, anybody can start with, but can you stick with it?
And I tend to agree with what you're saying, because I've seen that's something that's trending, where people start, they get all excited about it, and then I guess when they realize it starts to become work,
right,
and it becomes work and effort to improve your production, that's where people fall short, and in their laziness, which they probably already had in them, begins to come out, and they go to the wayside. I've actually seen that myself.
Yeah, me too. And I mean, given someone who works in production and works in that sense, it's like I see more people fail than succeed. And yes, there are a lot of people who start with great ideas and stuff like that. But if you know, your creativity has to be the one that rises to the top. And yeah, it's very much saturated, but you can't go into it with that as a mindset, or you'll never do anything in there. It's like, you know, and I've seen it happen from many people and stuff like that. Because at the end of the day, everybody has a voice and a story to be told.
Right.
And if you want to be heard, you gotta put it out there. I even made a small tutorial on our YouTube channel where I could tell people this is how you can get started. You know, and you know, you gotta think about, it's kind of like not getting into like a whole silo of like information or who you listen to and stuff like that, but you know, broaden yourself a bit more and support folks and whatnot, even if you don't listen to their show or whatever, but give them a subscribe and stuff like that, because obviously there's going to be some sort of return. But there's a lot of people out there also, if they're not seeing the return that they want out of it, and this is why I stress very importantly, before you start a podcast, find out what you really want out of this. Find out what you really want out of this. What do you want this to be for you? Because if and don't forget what it is that started you out of the journey as well. Because once you do that, you stop. And there's a lot of dead links. There's a lot of dead podcasts out there. A lot of dead links because nobody, it's digital, so it's just something that sits there and whatnot, and it's waste. It's digital waste in many ways, but you really have to be concerned with what you're listening to. Just like how whatever your favorite TV shows are is the same thing you would apply to podcasts. It's like, is there a certain genre you're looking for? You're looking for comedy, horror, true crime, like your show, informational stuff. These are the things that you're choosing to listen to and whatnot. But the question before about the future of it, I definitely do see it evolving in a way where it might not be called podcast anymore, because right now Spotify is actively trying to do away with the RSS feed, where you're only doing it through them. There's really no link that and stuff like that. But I hope that never happens, because the RSS feed is what gives you the freedom and the independence to get your show out there. Because that link is your show, and for a company to try to talk about, well, you don't need that anymore. Like, no, I need that, because I can take that link and put it wherever I want.
But that's just the thing, though, Brother Lance. And I was saying earlier to you that it's about controlling the voices that people, I think a lot of us podcasters that are not at that high level of marketing, and our faces are all over the place. I think there is fear that if there's so many people creating podcasts or they're getting out information that they're not getting in mainstream, that also makes you probably a danger to the system, because your voice is becoming powerful and it's resonating with many people. And by them doing that, that's the corporate thing to do, because why? They want to control your content and say, we're in control of your content. It can't go anywhere else, especially if you're a podcaster who's making some money and you've got a certain level of success. They want to own that. But by allowing you, it's almost like by allowing you to have that link where you can take your show on the road everywhere,
right? Like
that. What is that, brother? That's giving you too much power, too much freedom. And they want to keep you on the plantation and box you in. I'm concerned about that.
Yeah.
Because by doing that, they limit your ability to broaden your audience in other types of platforms. Let's say you want to create your own website, and I'm in the middle, and I should have done this a long time ago. I'm trying to put my website together, trying to put something together. Let's say you got your own website and you want to be able to branch that over to your website to build your audience over there in case things go bad over here. Now you're screwed because they got control of it.
Yeah. And and a lot of people will sell out. So if they offer the right price.
Just like in the music business, when you had Prince, when he was alive, he was fighting with what's that, Warner Brothers, and he changed his name to the Symbol. When everybody thought that he was crazy, he did that because anything he produced under the name Prince, they were going to make money off of it. So he said, the hell with that. I'm going to change my name to a Symbol, make some money that they can't take from me. And then when the contract runs out with them, I'll get my name Prince back. Right?
Yeah.
Well, same thing with podcasting. It's almost like they got our master tapes. They got your masters under their control.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And
you see?
Yeah. And as long as, I'll say this for sure, something that I've always, there are bigger plans that we plan to do with GSN in the future. It may not be called GSN and stuff like that. Long as I am in this game, I want to make sure that people people of color, people marginalized, whatever the society wants to call us and put us in whatever boxes they feel like putting it, is that they have a place to come to and they will own that content. This is yours. And it's like where you don't have to rely on a Spotify. You don't have to do all this other stuff. So it's like like I said, own it outright from the get-go. Because a lot of these companies are trying to come in, swoop in, offer you, depending on your audience, you might get a $10 million check, $100 million check, but make sure you lawyer up. You go into that space and you're like, all right, but I need to own X, Y, and Z. Make sure you always own that thing. Don't give them the whole kingdom, man. Because it's like once you do, that's your ass.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
But like I said, as long as I'm still in this game, long as I'm doing this, it's something I'm gonna keep preaching. It's like keep the RSS feed going, keep it alive and stuff like that. Is very important because it is accessible to everyone right now, and keep that alive and keep it going. And it's like I'm blessed to be surrounded by people who work in that type of world where I can tap them, be like, yo, let's build a website. Right. Let's make this thing work. Let's keep it going. Like I'm blessed in that way. So it's like, and I hope to bring other people on as it grows and stuff like that. And we'll see where it goes from there. And it's like, but can't never say we didn't try, or there's no home for it or anything like that. It's always there. And yeah. And I see some of the comments say, yeah, it's definitely oversaturation plays a role in that. Yes, that's very true. It does. And it's like I always view myself as the type of person to like kind of cut through oversaturation. But I'm incredibly hard to market to personally. So because I work with people like that. So it's kind of like, I don't care. But at the same time, it's like, I want to be able to like offer that. And even if you don't even end up doing a podcast, but you can work within the realm of that, you can become a producer, editor. Yes. You can be a talent scout, that sort of thing. There's a lot of things in that way, but if you can work from, it's kind of like working from inside to affect the outside, not really, but but because my company is independent, it's our own stuff and whatnot. So it's like, that's what I try to put out there. It's like, and anybody who's on my network, it's like they're wholly independent to their show as well. So it's like, it's not, GSN, we have very minimal things where we're like, okay, we just need like a stamp on your artwork and that's about it, and everything else is just kind of behind the scenes and just kind of make sure you do your show and everything like that.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, brother, let me just say, I know you told me you got to get to the studio. I wanted to say thank you for the time that you've taken out of your busy schedule to spend with my audience and to have me pick your brain about a few of these subject matters and issues. But before you go, let me ask you in a nutshell, you see what's happening in the world today. We have the George Floyd circumstance, the Jacob Blake, and of course you've seen the buffoonery that has been going on with the Breonna Taylor case in the way they have tried to dirty up her image as well as the boyfriend. And she did not get justice. The cops, they charged him with a low D grade felony, which means he won't do a lot of time for not killing her in the midst of putting other people in danger in the dwelling, which doesn't make any sense to me. In short, brother, what in the hell is going on?
Before we got on here, I was telling you that I worked as a union rep.
Okay.
Also, a glorified waiter in a hospital. That's what I call it. But I did food and nutrition and stuff like that. But I also like part of the union rep stuff. And a lot of the stuff that I hear there reminds me of those days of me sitting there and doing arbitration and helping other workers keep their jobs and stuff like that. What I'm hearing, especially from that AG and whatnot, is that people higher up in the food chain of that whole decision, they messed up and they're covering their asses. Right. And those cops are all sacrificial lambs for them because they're looking in a way where it's like, you know, when the judge name was involved, you don't really hear the judge names that much anymore, right? You don't hear like who started this investigation in the first place, who's the one, because there's a captain somewhere. Somebody had to approve this.
Right.
This is something they've been looking at for a while, right? Her ex-boyfriend is a known drug dealer and stuff and all this other stuff, and they came up with all this other stuff. But from what I'm hearing is that somebody fucked up royally, and they're trying to make it go away and placate the populace in a way, and they don't want to be held accountable. Because if you were to drill down into it, you know, because look, they let off what? How many cops was involved? 4, 5? I forgot how many, but it's like
about 3.
About 3 cops, right?
I think it was 3 cops, and none of the rest of them got charged for anything except for the one putting other people in danger. And I talked about that the other night ago. I went live and talked about the details because I actually had video footage of where the bullets went at in the home. I showed that, and I also showed on my channel the other night. If you guys haven't seen that, check out the Breonna Taylor, Louisville police giving insight into the investigation. I showed Brother Kenneth Walker being interviewed, and he was very convincing in his interview when they were interrogating him, and he wasn't acting all nervous and stuttering. He was it came out of his mouth like water. Everything he detailed what had happened. So and then we got a Daniel Cameron, buck dancer. I gotta say he's a buck dancer who
the AG
as the AG, he actually screwed up and you got not only one grand juror, now you got a second one who's saying, you know what, we didn't get this, it wasn't handled right, and they want to talk. But the Louisville authorities are trying to that area, they're trying to suppress these grand jurors from talking because they're hiding around the fact that you never are supposed to hear from grand jurors. It's supposed to be all secret.
Right. Yeah, which is, I never really quite understand grand jury stuff.
So this is supposed to be about justice, and you keep justice a secret from the people. And that don't make no damn sense.
Right. They it's another one of those where they feel like the populace is too stupid to understand, or whatever the case may be. And they're trying to hide something much deeper than just, oh, they killed somebody. It's like, no, there was a chain of events, a chain of decisions, a chain of actual signed documents that signed off on all this stuff where you fucked up royally. And it's like, and that's all I'm hearing. They're trying to lie to our faces, or like a friend of mine like to say, you trying to play in my face right now. That's what they're doing. It's like, it's like I have a feeling it goes way further than just bullets just being shot, because it goes even further back. Somebody back there is trying to make sure, because whatever decision this person made here's the end result. And on top of that too, these cops, I'm sure if we dig into their past and how they handled guns, they're probably reckless the whole time. And but because of their, what was it called, qualified immunity,
qualified immunity.
They're just on the job all this time. So it's like, and that's where unions come in, which is one I used to work with. It's like they have these loopholes that they like to push out there to get people to keep these jobs and stuff like that. They don't necessarily believe in your innocence. They just believe in the numbers. And it's like, that whole situation, whatever wanton danger is, it's like, well, these guys are ill-equipped, ill-trained. That's not how you engaged. That's not what you do. You're in a neighborhood where you can just come knock on somebody's door at an ungodly hour and stuff like that. Some people don't play that shit. It's like, and it's like you can't, like, it just doesn't make any sense. The whole engagement of it. I mean, I've seen some of the video, the new release video and stuff like that. All that was, they thought they were playing Call of Duty. It's like these guys, they're scared of their own shadow and stuff like that. There's a lot going on there. And it's like, but like I said, I feel like they're hiding something. There's a bigger plot here that they're definitely trying to hide. And the AG, he's the top of the pawn right there. You know, he's very close friends with Mitch McConnell, and nobody trusts that dude. But I think he dates Mitch McConnell's niece or something.
Well, what I found out is there was a rumor that he was married to Mitch McConnell's niece. Come to find out that information is false.
Oh,
what
okay.
happened is that he got married. He got married, and Mitch McConnell happened to be at the marriage. In some kind of way, they associated Mitch McConnell with the niece as being, that's his niece. When in fact they said that was false. So, you know, one of the problems with black people in America is that we're in a situation where we're always trying to prove ourselves, and we're always trying to split from the pack. And we in this sense that, okay, if I can get a better deal over here, then I'm willing to do what I got to do, if it even means selling out my own people, because I'm going to be in a better place over here. But there's a term, brother, that I'm going to tell you called a lap dog. And what is a lap dog? A lap dog is a little doggy that you have in your lap, and you pet them. And after you finish petting them and enjoying your time with that little lap dog on your lap, what do you usually do with that lap dog or that dog eventually?
Push them off the lap.
When they no longer become relevant to stimulating you, you know, because people like to rub animals to relax, you know, watching fish. Once you got your enjoyment out of petting your pet dog, and they become not relevant to you at that time, you throw them off your lap and you discard them and you go on to something else.
Right.
That's usually what happens to people like Daniel Cameron. They will use black people like this, the Candace Owens of the world, all these different people. They will use them to talk about us, so that it doesn't look like it's racism. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
And then eventually, when their usefulness is no longer needed, they discard them until they get the next popular black person that they're willing to bankroll behind. For example, when you look at Herman Cain went to that indoor rally that Trump had in Oklahoma. Some say that that's where he contracted the COVID-19 and eventually died. But think about it. He was a good boy for them, and they didn't do much to really celebrate the man. He did all of that buck dancing, and in the end, Donald Trump just said, "Oh, it's a shame that he died. Okay, let's move on to the next rally." So his legacy, brother, his legacy is actually bad. You didn't hear the masses of black people talking about, let's say a prayer for Herman Cain. Let's get to his funeral. Hell, you didn't even see any video of his funeral services.
Yeah,
See?
there's no fanfare or anything.
No fanfare, because we, as black people, I just got to keep it real with you. We have to think about our legacy. In the end, what will people think of us? Some of us don't give a damn, but in the end, nobody gave him any reverence. He was just a footnote like everybody else in this society that's died of COVID-19 that nobody gives a damn about. Herman Cain, all that shucking and jiving he did for the Republican Party, and he was no longer relevant, especially when he got caught in a scandal about being overly sexual towards the white women. But anyway, brother, I've taken up your time. Now we're getting into the content that I do on this channel. let me back off a little bit with this. But everybody, I want to thank everybody. Everybody give this brother love. I'm going to give him a clap right now. Give this brother love. Okay. The Podcasting Network, Gifted Sounds. Check him out. I put a couple of links to his website in the channel. Let me do it again. Let me see. Hopefully I've got the, I'm going to put another link to his Gifted Sounds Network. See here. Or Brother's got so much going on, everybody. Can't keep up here. Let me put this in the chat room a couple of times. Check out his website. Any of you out there that want to use his services, contact the brother. Let me ask you this question, because on YouTube, the big thing is don't use copyrighted content or you're going to get yourself in trouble. And I know in podcasting, that's becoming a bigger deal too. Yeah. Your company, do you dabble in helping to produce music for people that won't get them in copyright hell? Does your company delve in that area too? That's a very big area too, brother.
I mean, we have access to stuff that can get us into there, but we don't primarily produce it. We can, if it's necessary.
Okay. Just wonder.
But yeah. I mean, we do know people that can help you with that as well. So it's like, that's kind of like within our network, but we can do it. Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Well, brother, thank you for being here again. We'll do this again. I'll be in contact with you. Thank you for your time. I want to thank the audience out there that's come over. Let me look in here real quick. I want to thank everybody for coming over. And Divine Wisdom said, thank you, Brother Lance. We got Marcus Love. I like Marcus Love. Me and Marcus Love, we two brothers that be over at O'Shea's channel from time to time. Okay. Good to see you, Marcus Love. Oh, we got a view. I will go over and support him. Thank you, sister. Good to see you here. And then we got the sisters here, the Liquid Spot. These sisters are deep. I'm trying to get them on my channel so that we can have a little adult conversation. And I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that at a certain time, because I get my biggest audience to my channel at certain parts of the evening. Mm-hmm. I get a bigger audience than I do in the morning hours. Yeah. For whatever the reasons are, the algorithms work that way. And I think I got another. Did I get another? Okay, Miss Buckner should have chatted me. But thank you for coming on over. A view for a view. I appreciate everybody. We're going to get on out of here. You got any last? I hate to say last. You got any words you want to say to the people?
Yeah. Don't wait for permission to create your content. Don't wait. Just do it. That's how I end my tutorials on GSN as well. That's like, don't wait, man. Just do it.
Okay. Yeah. All right, brother. Well, have a good day. We're gonna do it again down the line. I'll be talking to you. I'm kind of interested in your network and seeing how it could benefit some of my content. I know you were saying that what you do is you assist people. Mm-hmm. Okay. And then there's fees involved and all those different things, I'm sure.
Yeah, that really depends on the conversation. Okay. It'd be completely free, and that will be a whole different conversation, or it can be paid, depending on it. Really depends on what you want to do. Yeah. Okay. Do you have any problem, not to put you on the spot, if because what I do when I bring guests on, from occasion to occasion, I'll promote their brand. I'll give them a shout out. Are you fine if I give you a shout out from time to time on my platform? Yeah. Is that okay? Yeah. Because I'm asking because people funny about their baby. But thank you. Yeah, no problem, for sure. And we'll probably be in touch with you as well, because we like to also support Black voices out there for sure. So because we do have some stuff coming up that we need to we're going to change up and kind of rebrand in a bit. Mm-hmm. Well, not really rebrand, but just kind of like refocus how we advertise and whatnot. Okay. So, yeah, I look forward to it for sure. Okay, brother. Well, take care of yourself, and peace to you once again. Yeah, you too. All right, brother. So everybody, again, that's Brother Lance John. That brother has an incredible podcasting network. You heard him speak the truth today.
Tell the truth.
I appreciate everybody for being here. Do me the biggest favor, and let me put this back in the corner, because this is very important to me, everybody, right here. Black fathers, I've been saying this every time I've been going live lately. Black fathers are very important. We matter. We are in the lives of our children. Don't believe the hype of the media that paints us negatively. Of course, there are brothers out there that are musty, dusty, and crusty. They're not doing what they're supposed to do. But there's a lot of us out here that are doing what we're supposed to do when it comes to raising our children. So I must drive that home, everybody. I appreciate you all coming over today. Share this in your video. I didn't expect a large number of people to come over today just because of how early I was going on, because I got a lot of people in the West Coast who watch me. But this video will get good views, nice, decent views after the fact. Definitely with your help and support, sharing the video. And let me say to folks that are in the chat room right now, let me say a couple of greetings to you. We got Marcus Love, Back to the Basics, Underrated Darkness, and we got Kendrick, Wisdom. Kendrick, we got Wisdom, Kendrick, the Liquid Spots come over. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, we got Off the Record Podcast is in the house right now. Oh, wait a minute. Let me put up the thumbnail, man. I got the cool thumbnail, you brothers. Yeah, check these brothers out. Yeah, check them out.
Information
Is power. Yeah, check them out. The Off the Record Podcast. I interviewed them. Those brothers are out of Baltimore, Maryland. And peace to you, brothers. I'm glad to see you all come over. And I was these brothers are fantastic, everybody. So everybody have a great weekend. Enjoy yourself. I'll probably come back on, if not later on tonight, maybe Sunday, to get into some other areas that are on my mind. And I think this discussion today with Brother Lance was fantastic. I think I might take the audio and put this on my podcast and just upload it to that platform because of the nature of the material that we were talking about. So let me say peace to everybody. Kendrick's in the house. The Liquid Spot, I got to get y'all on because we need to have that exciting adult conversation when it comes to men, women, sex, love, and can you throw it down? Can you throw that thing down? So we're gonna have that conversation, and it's gonna be a juicy conversation. We got Chaos who came over. He says like the video, everybody, and let me get on out of here, everybody. Peace to you. Let me get on out of here, everybody. I appreciate everybody coming over and everything like that. Here we go. Peace, everybody. Peace to you. All right, peace, everybody. Let me put something on the screen. I appreciate everybody coming over. Had a little technical difficulty right then and there.
Come on over, let's pick up where we left off. You and I had lots of love just to top it off. We can wind and down for days, never let it stop. I just want your everything, baby. Maybe later we can dance, never let it go. Listen to our favorite songs on the radio. Losing up and lose ourselves to this feeling. Oh, I just want your everything, baby. I'll be deep under.
Back to the basics. Thank you for the super chat.
Thank you for the super chat. Thank you for the super chat.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Divine Wisdom, thank you for the statement that you made.
Moon is rising and the stars are coming out, but we're missing 'cause we're waiting. I know I got issues. Hate you, then I miss you again. Selfish, I can be so selfish. Spend more time.
You are listening to Information Man. Please make sure to subscribe to his channel.
Attitude. I want my cake and eat it too, but a little grace would be enough for me to prove.
Information is power.
You're my mirror, I could finally see, bringing out the best in me. Yeah, I don't want no problems, but I know I got a lot of work to do. Baby, I'm not perfect, but I know I'm worth it. Working out my issues with you, with you. Crutches, I be holding crutches, can't let go of any mistakes. Distant, sometimes I get distant, stay away as long as it takes. Forgive my attitude, I need my cake and eat it too, but a little time will be enough for me to prove that baby you the remedy. You're my mirror, I can finally see, bringing out the best in me.
Hey, what's up, y'all? I hope y'all wearing your mask everywhere you go, and more specifically that KN95, protecting against all the germs that are in the air. But also I want to tell y'all one more thing to stay safe. Hand sanitizer, but with aloe vera. So you put some of this on, you rub it around. Not only do you knock all the germs, but the aloe vera smells so amazing that you're killing two birds with one stone without drying out your skin, because traditional hand sanitizer leaves your hands feeling clammy and disgusting. So definitely get hand sanitizer with aloe vera. So one more thing I want to tell you about, though. This code right here, cut the check. So let's say you bought a couple of masks, and you bought a couple hand sanitizers, and your order exceeds $50. We waive the shipping fee with the code cut the check. So on your checkout, remember to put that in.
You are listening to Information Man. Please make sure to subscribe to his channel.